Cool. Hey, appreciate everybody's coming in who are really interested in what our guest speaker has to say today. So let me introduce you all to Mark Fitzgerald. He has a very decorated background, very accomplished background. But right now, he is most notably serving in a role currently as the sports performance director for our local Las Vegas Desert Dogs. And he also serves in a host of other roles as far as like being a performance consultant, just going to other places and networking with other people, spreading his expertise to those who wish to consult him about human performance. So with that being said, I'm gonna stop talking. Y'all ain't coming for me. You came to listen to him. I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Mark Fitzgerald. All yours.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, first of all, I do this talk quite a bit at different universities whenever I travel and stuff like that. So I definitely don't want it to be overly formal. So if you have a question or we just don't go through all this stuff, but when I put stuff like this together, I try to give you resources, right? So I put in a lot of books that I think are helpful, that have helped me over the course of a pretty long time. And I think it's valuable to understand that I definitely don't have it all figured out, and I think I'm very fortunate to do what I do and I've done for a long time. But it's also still navigating my path. Like I'm excited to do what's next or to see what's next, right? It's not just for me anyways. I work with teams. I work with on the private side. I've owned gyms, still own a gym. So I kind of do a little bit of everything, which can cause problems sometimes. But I want to make it more about understanding that the path is not linear. It never is, especially in our field, right? And I'm sure John Cordero could speak to that as well, right? You kind of just go where the work is. And some people, it's very linear. They open a gym, they settle down, and they build that business, which is great too. And if that's what you want to do, that's awesome. I always like to get people talking. So now that we have such a small group, you're all going to have to talk. Hi there. Mm-hmm. How you doing? Mm-hmm. So first thing I ask is like, okay, what, I consider myself a coach. Like Cordero said, I wear a lot of different hats and do a lot of different things. But the thing that I love to do is coach. If I could eliminate a lot of this other shit, for lack of a better term, I would. But it's hard because you have to do those other things too. You have to, I run a business. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm trying to be better at social media, all this stuff, right? Because when I started coaching, it wasn't really a thing. Twitter maybe, but whatever it's called now. So what makes a good coach? Anything, just yell it out. Yeah.
Honesty.
Yeah.
Just be honest.
Yeah.
Being adaptable.
Yeah. What else? Yeah. Very good. Stanley Jug? What do you got?
For me, I coach little things, but it was compassion.
Yeah, great one. Newcomers?
Leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah, going.
Yeah, really good.
Empathy.
Yeah, awesome, guys. Awesome. Those are all fantastic qualities. I think one of the things that I'm going to come back to a lot when I do talks like this is when you're a great coach, it's not about you. It is not about you. And that is so hard for some people to get over. And I've seen coaches, no judgment, to each their own. They make it about that. They wear the shirt that's a little too tight because they just did arms and they want people to realize. You're laughing, but it's true. I've seen on the female side too. Your pants couldn't get tighter. And I know that's whatever, but it's the truth, right? Oh, look at me, right? Like I do it. I've done it in the past where I do it to change our environment, right? So I was in the NHL and our team was not doing so well. My typical uniform is I work for Under Armour, so I wear Under Armour pants and hoodie. Usually whatever team I'm working for, that's what I wear. Not because, it's just when you work in a hockey rink, it's cold, right? That's typically what I'm going to wear, right? The one day when our team was, many times when our team maybe wasn't doing so good, I took off the hoodie one day and I realized that I was probably wearing a shirt that was a little too tight, and our team just let me have it for about an hour. right? Just the comments and like the ridicule, which I'm good with. I know who I am. I'm confident in myself. So I knew it was coming and I was doing it for a reason. I was doing it to see if I could change the tone of the room, get more guys smiling. If I'm the brunt of that thing, I don't care, right? So I'm not saying that's all negative. I think if you can use it properly, it can be really good. If you can motivate kids to, you know, I want to look like coach, great. But just be careful. There's a say fine line. It's probably a pretty thick line of, you know, how to cross or not cross, but just be aware, right? Another question, as you get through school and obviously probably some different years in here in terms of how long you've been here and, you know, graduation, all that kind of stuff. What do you want to do? Private or team or something different? Who wants to do private? Team? Something different? Research? What else? Is there other things? Probably, I guess, that I'm missing. Cool. And this is one of the big ones. If you want to do private or if you want to do something different, right? I do a lot of different stuff that isn't really, you know, what I was educated on. It sounds terrible, but it's true. People call me in and, hey, help me build a gym. I don't know, but you know what? I make money on it every year because if people call me and say, can you design me a gym? Sure. I work with contacts that I've met through companies, flooring companies, and equipment companies that I've consulted with and say, hey, here's the space that I have, here's the budget, and I build out gyms. So that's not something that I went to school for, but it's something that I've now is part of something that I do, right? So in saying that, business experience, right? I recommend to really any student, but especially in our field, take one business class. Just one, intro to business, or whatever the hell it's called, right? Like just, even if it's an online course about, you know, not a university course necessarily, find something. There's millions of them out there, right? Do your homework on it, but like take a business class. You're gonna learn that our world is a customer service industry, right? You are a customer service industry. It is not a transactional business. It is a transformational business, right? Does that make sense? Right? We're not selling oversized water bottles. We're selling our personal service for the most part. We're selling physiotherapy. We're selling strength and conditioning. We're selling speed development, sports science. We're selling ourselves. Get at least one something like that under your belt. Even if it's marketing, that's a cool one too, because that landscape is changing at an incredibly fast rate, right? Especially with social media, and which I think is great as long as you know what you're doing, right? And how you present yourself and what you're talking about, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so always questioning those things. I like starting with that just to get you thinking about where I kind of want to go. You know, what I want to talk about, you know, again, bring value, give you some tools. I put a lot of books in here. I can send you this deck afterwards if you want. It's nothing. I steal a lot of stuff. I'm pretty good at that too. And then put you out of your comfort zone a little bit more. We'll get everybody in here talking at some point. Okay. That's logo soup, right? Is that a pretty straight career path for you? No, right? It's all over the place. All right. The reason I'm here in Vegas, one of my first clients, professional lacrosse player who became a Hall of Fame lacrosse player, is the head coach and GM of Las Vegas. Right? Did I get hired because I'm the best strength coach? No, I'm not. I got hired because I built trust with a guy who I consider family now. And one of the first phone calls he made was me. Like, I just got this job, you got to come. I'm like, all right. Vegas is not my favorite spot, no offense, but not a big gambling person. You know, so it's the relationship that I had with him that, and the trust I built with him over 20 years of training him and his kids. That's transformational. That wasn't because I sold him an online training package that he really liked. It's not because I gave him a, you know, special program that made him faster. No, it was because we built a relationship over a long time, right? I'm a business owner, so ETS is my first company. We had 4 gyms in Ontario, Canada, just outside of Toronto. I've since sold that and kind of moved on to some of my younger staff and kind of purchased it off me. I still help them and try to grow it. I started at Ontario Tech University about 21 years ago. They had a room the size of this that had parquet floors on it. That was for the dance team, and we trained out of there with next to nothing. And I got about $500 a year for about 500 hours of work. But we now have a full facility on site. One of my staff is a full-time strength coach for that university. That's pretty cool. And eventually they will build a brand new sport performance facility that I'll get to be a part of in some way. Right. So played the very long game on that one. I operate now Kelowna High Performance, where I live, Kelowna, BC, just outside of Vancouver. I built that, this is year 5 of that, and that's predominantly professional hockey players that come to Kelowna in the summertime. Kelowna is like the California of Canada, or as closest to it, wine country, water, golf, all that kind of stuff. So those guys love that. Frontline Health and Performance, that's a company that I own that is directed at firefighter health and wellness. So I have 2 older brothers. One of them is a captain in the fire department. So that worked with him and his people for a very long time, and got together with a couple research guys that I knew from the university, and we built this company. It's 3 years now. We are working with firefighter candidates. That's how I kind of got introduced to here too, actually, was Brian. We got connected through that firefighting world. Again, random connections. And anyways, that company will probably be how I retire, because there's so much opportunity in that space, right? Because these people are going out there, they're going from 0 to 100 very quickly, more so than any other athlete that I've ever seen. So really interesting. We're now building that out to, departments and cities hiring our company to go in and implement health and wellness programs. So I think it's going to be my best bet to really make, kind of long-term success out of it. And then like Cordero said, I consult for Under Armour. I've been with Under Armour for about 18 years. Jacuzzi, that's a new one, the hot tub people. Well, they want to be in the health and wellness world now. So they're making cold tubs, saunas, right? So they've asked me to just kind of help them grow that. Again, if you would have told me that, like I'd be working for Jacuzzi. I don't think so. Maybe selling them. Lacrosse obviously is a big one for me, and I got a chance now to be a part of the Olympic program. So I oversee the men's and women's side of heading into the 28 games in LA, which is pretty cool. Again, the head coach of that team is the head coach here, right? The assistant coach is an athlete that I had for 15 years. She married one of my other clients, right? So it's just like kind of ridiculous. Good wedding story. Okay, I'll get past all the logos, but you're gonna, if you're trying to get into the team side, you're gonna wear a lot of those logos, right? You're gonna, in and out of. It's rare that someone stays with one team. That's kind of the gig, right? You move around. I didn't want to do that anymore, so we kind of settled where we are, and do it minimally at least, not full time. Yeah, some stuff that we want to catch on, but again, it doesn't have to be overly formal. I tend to ramble a little bit, so just make sure you stop. Okay. I love the internet. I think I have the best job in the world, right? What I get to do, what I love to do when I get to do it is this, tinker. I get these athletes who come in and whether I have 2 guys with post MCL repairs right now, 2 post shoulder labrum repairs. I love that stuff. Right. This week we're getting in the pool. They're in that stage of kind of getting ready to, more ballistic movement, more. And this is what I get to do. I get to mess around, right? I get to mess around and see, okay, and I implement this. How much can I push this athlete? How much better can we get, right? One of my shoulder guys just went to the surgeon for a check-in. He said he's at 8 weeks, he's acting like he's at 11. That's a win for me, right? It's like, okay, we can push that. Right? We can really push the envelope. We can get this guy back on the ice. We can get him shooting pucks soon. We can get to his ultimate goal of golfing this summer, right? Right, so this is when I'm in my happy place, or whatever you want to call it, this is what I'm doing, right? Coaching, tinkering. I get these athletes who, you know, their only job is to come in and train. Right? Is to go home and eat properly, go home and go to bed. No, they all do that. No, it's not necessarily. Lacrosse, for instance, is a very different sport. You know, when I worked for teams in the past in the NHL, like, yeah, I moved to Toronto, I moved to California. We're with the athletes every day. Most of my job at that level was planning. What the food on the plane, you know, when we land, what are we going to eat? A lot of food. It's NHL, never hungry league. There's always food. Too much. Shouldn't eat sushi at 11 o'clock at night just because it's there. Learned that the hard way. Right, so you become a stress manager, right? Training is stress. How much training do we need to do? Travel is stressful, and the game is stressful, right? So you become, you know, less about sets and reps, more about, okay, what are we doing for the next 6 weeks? Where are we going? How many time zones are we going to cross over? Lacrosse, on the other hand, is, you know, they fly in. This past weekend, we played on a Sunday afternoon. Most of the team flew in either Friday or Saturday. A lot of them crossing 3 time zones to get here, right? From East Coast to West Coast. And in my opinion, we practiced way too hard on Saturday night until about 9 o'clock at night. We get up in the morning. It's a weird game because it's at 2 o'clock. So there's, you know, just kind of a weirder schedule or a more unique schedule. And then they get in a car accident for 2.5, 3 hours. Right, it's like, I don't know if you ever watched, you should come. It's a field sport. It's kind of a mixture of basketball, rugby, hockey, street fighting, a little bit of everything, right? And you know, you're playing on a hockey rink with hard boards, right? So it's very different. So it's been a challenge to, and then they all go home. Half our team took red eyes last night. Yes, Cody. Cody's our general manager, assistant general manager. So him and I work together quite a bit just on the planning side. All right, so those guys go home in a red eye. And one of our players is texting me about a pool workout, which is great because he's, you know, doesn't really have a full-time job other than to play lacrosse. But most of them go back to work Monday morning. Right, so how do we make sure that they're doing all the right things? Well, we don't. We try our best. Right? We try to give them information. We try to, and you know, Cody does a great job of helping me, you know, facilitate the things that I want to do. Really good food, really good, you know, training, you know, all those extra things that we can do. Right, our medical staff's incredible. Like how do we make sure we're checking all those boxes, right? This is an interesting one for me. You know, passion and purpose. It's great to have passion. You know, we were just talking about Bobby Scroop, right? And like he's a guy that has in our industry for a long time, works with Patrick Mahomes is probably his guy. Like it's great to have passion and be excited about it. You'll see a lot of those people in our field who are just like kind of like cheerleaders, which is great. But if you don't have the purpose to back it up, if you don't have like the skill set to back it up, it can be, let's say, dangerous. You know what I mean? Like if you're just nothing but a cheerleader, like my role's changed quite a bit. I don't yell in the gym anymore. Like I don't have to, if I have to motivate you, we're in trouble. We're in a bad spot. You're not in the right place, right? If I have to convince you to do something, now there's a little bit of that for sure, but for the most part, it should be, here's when you show up. Here's what we're going to do. Ask good questions. You know, let's talk about it, but this is what you're doing, right? And not to their detriment. Hey, if they can't do it or if there's an injury, of course, but you know, you have to back up the path with some purpose and make sure that you are, you know, coaching quality. That makes sense? Okay, first book. This is a pretty popular one, right? More of a personal thing, but I think I've read this book like 8 or 9 times. Right, I'm old, and you go through different cycles of, you know, the business and where you are in life. And I have kids now, so it's, you know, reframing things, but a fantastic book on, you know, how to find that purpose. Right, if you're chasing your passion around fitness in some way, shape, or form, okay, how do you then steer that into something you actually want to do? You know, and it's called, you know, even like the sports science side. That is not my strong suit, right? I have a guy, a young guy back home who's doing his PhD. He's all over it and he's amazing. I trust him now to manage that for me. What are you seeing? Where are we at? How are we trending? What does it look like? What new tools should we implement? Where are we missing? Right? I don't have to think about that stuff anymore because I just want to coach. Right? So start with why, find that purpose and and again, it'll change quite a bit from the first time you do it to the 8th or 9th time you do it. Believe me, it has, but it's been instrumental in helping me navigate what's next and where do I put my focus, right? I said this a few times already, coaching is trust, right? These are the kind of pictures I love because there's myself, my business partner, his son, my 2 kids, or my 2 boys, sorry, and one of the athletes has been with us for a long time, right? And this guy is, one of probably the best humans I've been around. He shouldn't be playing hockey. He's 6'8". His brother's in the NBA, but he was a first round draft pick in the NHL. He was a first round draft pick in the junior league before that. And it's incredible to watch a guy like that move. And it's no secret as to why he is where he is that I've learned is because he invests in his training. He invests in asking good questions, poking at it. You know what I mean? Like, why are we doing this now? What does this mean? What does it mean if this he just asks such good questions, right? And how I built trust with him is answering those questions if I can. And if I don't have the answer immediately, it's going and finding or bringing in bringing in a therapist or someone who does, movement mechanics better than me, bringing in some different teachers, right? And trying to find it out together. But to me, it's so much about trust and so much about building that trust over the course of time, right? It hasn't been perfect with him. He had an elbow injury, he had a groin injury, he got hit with a slap shot this year. I thought he was going to die, right? He got hit like almost upper clavicle. He lost feeling in his whole neck and head. It was the scariest thing ever, right? But I was one of the first messages, right? I'm okay. Don't worry. Jesus, okay. Feels a little bit better, right? Like would he send me that if I was just a transactional, if I was his trainer? Right? No, he sends it to me because he knows I'm watching and I care, right? The relationship always has to come first, right? There's a quote someone just asked me, again, it's not about you. They don't know how much you know until they know how much you care. You can't get to the care part, the knowledge part without the care first. I've watched it. I've watched it happen right in front of me. Oh, this is what you should be doing. You need to do X, Y, and Z. Well, I don't know this person. I don't trust this person. I'm going to listen to the person that I trust. Right. So having that understanding that, we've had a couple of your students come out this year, and it's been awesome to watch because you got someone who at the start of the year, I don't think he actually said 3 words consecutively. And now we have great conversations and that he's doing phenomenally well, right? But it took a while, right? It took a while to get him to get a little bit more comfortable with his surroundings and himself in general, right? So making sure that you're always finding ways to build those trusting relationships, right? And if you don't want to, these athletes will see through it pretty quickly, right? Especially the ones that are professional and that make money playing their sport. They know who people are. They have a good filter typically for people who aren't there for the right reasons. That makes sense, right? Sometimes their filter is exaggerated in that way, and it's tougher to get to know them, right? Injuries, like I mentioned, this guy holding the cup over his head, he's a pretty good hockey player. He's pretty much won everything you could win. Had to retire at 36 years old and got his first fake hip at 37. Full hip replacement. And then he got his other one a year later, right? Tough injury at 30 something years old, right? He's a guy that played a lot of hockey, a lot of playoff runs. He's 6'2", probably 235 when he played, so big guy for hockey. And it took a toll on his body. The first hip was great because he was still in shape, he was still trying to play, so it was easy, right? The rehab was easy. The second one, not the same, because he stopped playing and he kept eating the same and he wouldn't work out as much, and he went into the OR at 30-40 pounds overweight. And he called me from the OR and said, yeah, you were right. I'm a little heavy. Doing good now. You know, we got through it, whatever. He's still heavier than he should be, but overall healthy, right? He's turning 40 in 2 weeks and we're having a big party, which is great. Which again, I'm going to be part of his ongoing, we're going to have a relationship for a long time. We've become friends now, which isn't always the case, but our kids play hockey together and blah, blah, blah. And he's a little bit older, so it's different. This woman in the middle is probably, out of all the people that I get to work with, she's probably the fittest, most dedicated athlete I think I've ever seen. Her name is Katie Ross. She's a world record holder. She's the only woman in the competition called Fire Fit. I think there was one out here, actually. I think it's out here pretty often. She's the only woman in the world to run the course in under 2 minutes. She's maybe 5'5", 5'4", 145 pounds, and she races against men. It is phenomenal to watch, right? And when I started working with her, the only thing that I really did was take stuff away, because she was overtraining like crazy. And that's when she reached out to me and said, I think I need some help. I'm like, well, I don't know how I can help you. Like, seem to be doing pretty well. It's like, yeah, but I'm exhausted. I'm like, oh, that's probably not good. Tell me what you're doing. Well, I wake up, I do fasted cardio, and I do this, I do CrossFit, I do this. Holy shit. Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea what fasted exercise does, depending on where your cycle's at during the month? Oh, no. Okay, that's number one. Let's bring in this naturopath. She's going to talk to you about that. So stop doing that. Number two. Number three. And I just took stuff away. She dropped another 7 seconds off her time. Almost 8 seconds. She broke her record 4 more times. And that wasn't, I wouldn't say that's because of me. That's just sort of like, hey, don't do that, and don't do that. Right? And it was hard for her because she's wired that way. Right? But, and then it's funny, as we get into the off season, I'm like, month off for sure. I'm like, don't even call me. And she started calling me around week 5, right when the month was over. She's like, hey, I need to do something. I'm like, perfect, now you can start. I was waiting for that, right? It's okay to hold back, right? It's okay to hold back and make them kind of want it a little bit more, right? Like, it was an interesting experiment. But anyways, athletes and injuries, right? Like, and her, it wasn't an injury necessarily, but it kind of was, right? And she ended up, you know, doing really well in the finals in late October in the World Championships, but she almost crushed herself in the process. Like even with my interventions, she still got up to a point where she was just cooked, right? Because she loved it so much. Make sense? Sometimes you just have to help people get out of their own way. Right? You just have to take stuff out of the equation. And that's pretty common for like hard charging alpha males, or I didn't say males, alpha athletes. She's an alpha for sure, right? Moving on, evolution of training, you know, from old school weightlifting, right, to, you know, boxes, CrossFit, Hydrox. I don't know what Hydrox is, but it looks like CrossFit-esque. People punishing themselves. Cody, you probably like that, eh? Right, like I'll never talk negatively on about CrossFit. Well, I will, but what it's done is expose people to training, which is great. What it's done is expose people to busy work, and I can make you tired. Right, like, you want to see Megadeth vomit? Okay, give me under 2 minutes. I don't care how fit he is, we'll find a way. Does that make me a good coach? I wouldn't want him to do it back to me, because he definitely wouldn't need 2 minutes, right? It doesn't make me a good coach. Doing this to people doesn't make you a good coach. Helping them through stuff getting them to understand their own bodies, right? That's a good coach. Building that trust. Hey, I've been on the end of amazing phone calls. I made the team. I got another contract. You know, I played my first game after injury, and I've been on the shitty end too. Hey, I got hurt. Hey, I got cut. Hey, you know, whatever that is, right? So you have to be able to manage both of those. Mike Boyle is a good friend of mine and one of my mentors. This book is kind of like, I don't know, I'm sure you guys would agree too. It's just a good one to have, good one to read. You don't have to love his training. You know, you don't have to love how he does things. And I don't program like him, but I'm aware of the things that he's uncovered, right? Not a lot of my athletes back squat anymore, especially for hockey. We just haven't found a big use. There's too many different bodies and the hip stuff, and we do mostly single leg work, right? Now, some of our younger athletes, they'll back squat because of the hormonal response. I think there's positivity to that. We'll front squat a little bit, but because of him and because how he's pushed the envelope, it makes me think differently about programming, right? So, and I think those resources are typically the best, the ones that kind of push you and make you think a little bit more. Anyone read this one? No? I'm too old. Oh, another one. See what I think about. This is one more. Peter's a colleague of mine, and he's brilliant. This is more textbooky, but you guys are in that mode, so it might not be too bad. Just about longevity, and this is one I use in the fire service speeches and when I'm addressing those people, because you can get their attention a lot more with, you know, those big scary words, heart attack, cancer, and Peter kind of goes through all that. Though calls it the 4 horsemen, what most people are likely to die from. And I should know. Oh, right there. Read those out. You guys can read yourselves, right? Those are most likely what people are going to pass away from, right? The 4 horsemen. How do you attack those things and make sure that you know, doing everything you can to escape the 4 horsemen, right? The one thing that I love in this book, he asked the question, what is the number one thing you can do to promote longevity in terms of your health? Tell me something. What do you think? Right off the top of your head.
Just move.
Just move, exercise, consistency. What else? Nutrition, sleep. All great answers. Resistance training. Lifting weights. Different speeds, different tempos, different rep ranges for as long as you can. Why does grandma break her hip when she misses a step?
Don't train.
Why? What's happening? She's in her 80s. What has happened to her glutes? They're gone. They're gone. But what about her bone mass? Gone. She's getting hurt because she's weak. Now, does she have to deadlift? You can go on the internet and find all sorts of shit. Like, does she have to deadlift 400 pounds? No. She just has to train. Keep lifting weights. Keep lifting weights. To me, it makes so much sense, right? Because and you kind of said to just move, right? Like, you have to keep muscle. In my head now, like, I'm trying to keep on as much muscle as I can, right? Stuff like creatine, just training 3-4 times a week at minimum, right? And I don't want to look a certain way. It's just so I can. And my daughter says, Dad, what if someone stronger comes to our house? That's really not going to happen. She just rolled her eyes at me. I'm the strongest person in the neighborhood. Don't worry. But yeah, that's just a personal thing. But Peter is brilliant, and if you have any chance to listen to him, it's so worth it. He has a podcast too. It's very academic, but he did one on. That's what I was talking about, VO2 max. He did a whole thing on it. I'm just like, something to think about. Okay, I talked about the business side that we're going into, right? Or that you're potentially going into. It's a good industry to be in, right? In the trillions. It really, really is. Now, the tough part in all that, you talk about the supplement industry. Wow, what a terrible place that is, right? Like GNC and Popeyes and I don't even know what they have around here, but it's a lot of junk, right? But they're making a bazillion dollars out of it, right? Because they're marketing and they're selling to 18 to 23-year-olds with disposable income, right? They're going in and they're looking for the bottle that is shaped like a lightning bolt and it's promising instant results, right? Like, now that's part of it for sure, but there's a huge number of, wellness tourism, right? That's a huge one. Have you ever seen the Tulum Jungle Gym? And that thing is world famous, right? There's another place in Tulum now. I just read about it. I'm going there for a conference in January, which is not a bad thing. And it's this whole fitness wellness experience. It's like, wow, that's incredible. Like, it's massive, right? So, and I also think it's not going anywhere. Right? Recession, there's still going to be people, if we do come on hard times, there's still people that can afford to do this type of stuff, right? There's still a lot of people, and I think it'll even become more important. Just some more stats on it. It just keeps growing, right? Especially since COVID is over, nothing's changing, right? We saw the whole Peloton stuff like that. I think is flash in the pan, right? The products aren't very good. I think the overall idea is good, but I don't think stuff like that. But there'll be something else. Something else will come along, right? Yeah, growth year upon year. Again, nothing's changing. Just keeps growing, right? So good. Internet. Greasy car salesman. This guy pops right up. Amazing. So in saying you're stepping into that sector of business or that part of the economy, well, personal brand is massive, especially now with social media. It starts now. Honestly, it starts now. It starts with, just pushing yourself in the direction that you think you want to go. You can always change, of course, and adapt, but what is your personal brand? Right? And even if you think, well, I don't really have, I'm just, I'm a student, I'm this, I'm that, like, no, start now. Start investigating it, right? Like I think it's super interesting because there's such an opportunity for anyone. The way that social media has changed, like you used to have to amass followers to really have any impact, but now if your content is good, it'll get picked up, right? So it's a massive opportunity, and I think the people who are using social media for just the social side, great. But if I were in your shoes, I would just start something. Just something, whether it's something that you're into, and it doesn't even have to be fitness related, but just start something and just feed it with content. And just see, like, one of those, a little experiment. And this guy, some people don't like him because he's loud and he swears, but I really like that. Not so much the loud part, but the swearing part. I think he's brilliant. And he's always ahead. Right? In that book, I've listened to it. I can't like read, I have to listen to it. Is mind-blowing. Because the way that he speaks about it's like, well, yeah, like yellow pages are gone. Right? My dad was a carpenter. So he like not built houses, but renovation, stuff like that. It was a big deal when his name was highlighted in the yellow pages. My parents were like, oh, we paid extra money for that. It's just like, oh, awesome. Now it's like, I'm getting back into social media, and it's not something that I was doing a lot when it first came out because I didn't see a ton of value in it. We wanted to be coaching. I wanted to be I don't want my phone in my hand, right? But now it's, more regular. So I hire a guy to videotape us, right? Because it's worth it, right? The more that I put out, I can be pretty good in front of the camera. I'm comfortable with it. And all of a sudden you just get that uptick of interest and awareness and people reaching out for opportunities. Like, it's incredible. Organic social content is a big piece too, right? Like, don't be, but follow the passion side first, and people get interested, right? Especially when you're honest about it. And then again, he has a bunch of books. His first one was called Jab, 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 Right Hook, right? Give, ask. All right, that's another good one to read too, just around like how to create sales, how to, whatever, especially on the social media side, but it's super interesting and well worth the read. If you're an Audible person, he swears a lot. So full transparency. So far, so good. Not talking too much. Okay. One of the other things, continuous learning. I think you guys are incredibly fortunate to be here, learning from who you're learning from. When I first met Brian, I'm like, this place is amazing. Even the state of Nevada, how much they're putting into sport innovation. Like every major league franchise is coming here. I want to try to move here at some point. Dead serious, because I know, well, you have the UFC, which is, an anomaly. It's nowhere else really. You have the NHL now with how they won the Stanley Cup in that amount of time is ridiculous. Shea Theodore is one of my clients, and he plays on the team, and Zach Whitecloud. So, and Caden Corzette. So they all live in Kelowna in the summertime. Hockey's weird that way. You have them. Baseball's coming. NBA, I'm sure, is around the corner. WNBA, us, lacrosse. That is big. AHL, which is the same rink that we play. There's a pro women's volleyball team out of there. There's some sort of football team out of there. The Raiders. You guys have everything. So like you're in the spot, and especially with who you have, building this program, you guys are so lucky. I would say, apprenticeships. And I've already, met you, some of you coming to our testing stuff. Do as much of that as you possibly can. Go and be uncomfortable. Go and just be around. If you want to be with a team, come with our team. Come, our guys are the best. They're like hockey players. They don't really care. Not that they don't care. Sorry. It's just a very welcoming environment. Would you agree?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So it's a pretty cool athlete to be around because they're very easygoing. Like they're say happy to be here. That sounds like they don't. But it's like hockey. It's very similar. Right? They're very open and whatever. All sports aren't like that, but the ones that I've worked in are pretty good. Rugby's like that too, very similar. Very appreciative of everything that you're doing for them, etc. But get out and do it. Like get out and get your hands dirty. You guys are connected to almost everybody now here, so it's like there's so much opportunity. Go and do it. Mentorship. Have someone mentor you, and you mentor people. Anyway, you mentor people as well. You don't think you can do that? Yes, you can. You totally can. High school student, even somebody else here, right? Like, have that experience where you're getting mentored and you are mentoring someone else, right? It's huge for your ability to, be a coach or be a leader, right? Which I think is important for everybody to do. I was lucky enough to work with this gentleman for a long time and still, call him a friend. He's Dr. Stu McGill. He's a pretty big deal in our world. And he's the most humble, normal, brilliant guy I've ever been around. He's studied the human spine for 40, 50 years. Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Kobe, anybody and everybody. He's seen them. Right? His last book was shot in my gym in Ontario. So when I don't know, or I have a question, call that guy. Right? And McGill Big Three is like I do with any athlete that I work with. All around protecting the spine, actually using your abdominal muscles, actually figuring out what those look like. And he's can be very abrupt too, which I enjoy. He taught, I was working with an NFL player. I worked with a couple NFL guys. One of them was a tight end, 6'6", 260, could move like a DB. And he said to me, he's like, "Oh, we're going to do power cleans." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe." I go, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, I always hurt my back when I do power cleans." I'm like, "So why do you do them?" "Oh, you have to do this." "Oh, well, to do them." Like, "What do you think about that?" He's like, "Well, if he's 6'6", he's not meant to pick up a barbell from the ground. It's just femurs are too long, arms are too long. Too many bad things can happen in that sequence. They just pull from the blocks, like pull from above the knee, basically get the same effect." Yeah. Stupid question, I guess. But it was like I was thinking so much into it, like, how do I replace such a staple movement? And I don't know the strength coach here for the football team, but I bet they do those. Maybe they don't, and that's not a judgment thing, but I would imagine, it's a pretty good exercise if they get big asterisks, right? I don't think there's any perfect exercise. I think like back squatting, is it for everybody? Nope. And he's the one that taught me, to be more open-minded about that kind of stuff. And he's like, Fitzy, you're Irish. I'm like, yes, I am. Like, well, you have something we call a Celtic hip. What the hell is that? And he taught us the hip scour. And so my lineage is, Celtic or Irish, English, Scottish, whatever, means that my hip socket tends to be deep, right? So when the ball of the femur goes in there, and I try to squat, I'm stuck blocking it, right? However, if you're Eastern European or, different parts of the world, you have a shallow hip. So the leg can just splay open. You see those people, they do CrossFit. What's that guy's name who wins all the time? Froning, built like a fire hydrant. And just when you squat, the legs just go out. It looks incredible. I'll never be able to do that. Just not. I don't have that ability. I don't have that room. Right. And it goes back to the guy that talked to you about the fake hips. He didn't have that room either. And skating itself is very unnatural unless you're just good at it. Right. It's one of those things. Can you get decent at it? Yes. But if your hips are built a certain way, so it's changed the way that I looked at, like, I do hip scours on everybody. Just a little, hey, how's that feel? Try to figure out, like, what are we dealing with? Hey, where are your parents from? All right. That's why you'll never see an Irish Olympic weightlifting champion. Find one. Probably not Irish, right? Lots of trends too, right? And now more than ever, there's all sorts of, and some of them are great. Some of them are great, but most of them are terrible, right? So have a good filter, right? Be able to sift through, that's dangerous, as in, hey, that might be something I could put in, right? When I go to a conference, if I learn one or two exercises or a warm-up drill or concept, I'm happy, right? Like, even if it's from someone that I don't, like, we're talking about Bill Parisi. I don't know him very well, but I would imagine he has a wealth of knowledge on speed training, right? Like, if I could go and pick up one thing from him, probably be pretty valuable, right? Always learning, always willing to learn. Another book, Execution Habit Building, is one of my favorites. And maybe, different stages of life, but just talks about what's important, right? What's important, you're gonna spend time doing it, right? I don't have to get too much into that one. That's pretty much what it encompasses. There's a follow-up to it as well, which is effortless, right? How do you make that what's important effortless? Super interesting how they dive into, like, habit building, and it really, again, if you're looking down the road of private, you want to build a business, you want to have systems within your business, it can be pretty valuable to just have a good understanding of that kind of stuff. And again, I know I'm suggesting other people's books because they figured it out, right? There's stuff that you can apply to what we do or what you want to do, and it just makes it a lot easier than trying to figure it out yourself. It's one of my favorite ones, Gratitude, right? A pretty deep book, a pretty scary book of a real life, guy that went through a Nazi concentration camp, pretty awful, but incredible, the right word for it, fortitude, gratitude, I don't know. Just a story that makes you think, right? And so I try to, no matter what I'm doing, be grateful for the opportunity to coach people, to mentor people, to come here and do this. This is, this is the kind of stuff that I get a lot of tingles in the back of my head, right? In a good way of, like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? And when I'm having a good day, I'll do my my morning gratitude journal, whatever. And I was telling my coach last night, like, there's some days where I just put quiet house, food in the fridge, kids in bed, right? Because I don't know, I don't have to have other things. If those things are met, I'm pretty happy, right? Business side, yeah, I lost a shit ton of money in COVID, especially in Canada, because it was handled very differently there. Right where my gyms were, I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, mainly because I didn't want to fire my staff who had been with me for 12, 13 years. I didn't want to just say, well, I'm going to take the government bailout stuff and try to conserve what I can, and you guys are coached. I made sure that they got their money and we got through it. Still sucked, but we got through it, right? But yeah, another good one. Again, you don't have to read the books, but being aware of them is probably more than anything. Cool. Okay. Cordero said you'd have some questions, so I'm expecting really, really deep, thought-provoking questions. And email me anytime you want. If I can ever be helpful to anybody or opportunities, what have you. I should be back with the team next year, but I don't really know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, that's how it goes. Right. I think I did a pretty good job, but that can change. Right.
Open up for questions from anyone.
Yeah.
Honestly, like where I'm now, like I really I just don't know where to start. I overthink a lot.
Yeah.
And it's just
You're perfect for strength conditioning. Welcome.
I always the question that always where do I start? I just have so much. I just don't.
Hey, I appreciate you saying it because I think this industry definitely does it to you. I had this conversation with a friend of mine who he's a couple of years older than me, and he's going through some tough times business-wise and just a weird situation. And, he's all over the map. And I started talking to him about a year ago. I started taking ADHD medication at 44 years old. And I did it because a friend of mine, she's a sports psychiatrist, brilliant. And I was helping her through an injury. And she's like, hey, have you ever, the ADHD thing came up. I'm like, no. I'm like, why? Do you think I have it? Like, kind of joking. She's like, oh, yeah, you have it. It's like, oh. I'm like, oh, how do you know? She's like, just take this test. And she sent me this form to fill out. And I took the test, sent it back to her, like, instantaneously. Like, she's like, yeah, you got it. She's like, would you be willing to try out? I'm like, sure. I took those meds, and I'm not a big medication guy, and so it's a very low amount. I sat down and I probably worked for 5 hours straight. Just like procrastination was gone and I could just focus on what I needed. I don't even know what I was doing. And I like kind of got up. I'm like, shit. So, and I also figured out because I have a 13-year-old son and I have twin 10-year-olds, boy-girl twins. And the boy is very much like me, doesn't like school, and he's still bright, but doesn't like school. And we're sitting down with his teachers and stuff and just talking about what he does. And the teacher started describing like how he reads and like how he jumps words or jumbles around the words. And I'm just like, holy shit, that's what I do. My wife always bugs me because I'm a horrible speller. If you ask me to spell convenience right now, there's a 50-50 shot I get it. Even though I know how to spell it, as soon as I start thinking about it and then having to write it, I don't know. I have dyslexia. It's like, I'm so thankful that we're figuring it out for him, but I'm sitting there going, I went through university. I went through like, how in the hell? I mean, I think I got through because I love this stuff. It's the only stuff I've ever been able to remember. I'm good at this is what I'm good at. That's it. I can't hang a picture. I can't this is all I'm good at. I swear. Which tells me that I should do it. Right. So my answer to that is lean into it. Ask for help. Not that you need help necessarily, but like investigate it. Right. Like find ways. For me, it's like I love getting up early. So because my house is quiet and like it's self introspection. Right. Is the writing stuff out. It's the going to therapy. I started going just to kind of, I manage a lot. I spin a lot of plates, which is not a good, but it's definitely an ADHD thing. Right. I had a business coach once. She's like, how you doing? I missed her call like 17 times. I pushed her off 17 times. She's like, I know you're busy. She's like, but you're a plate spinner. I'm like, yeah. It's like, she's like, it's okay. Just can admit it.
Mhm.
Like, okay, yeah, I do like doing that. You know what I mean? And she's like, okay, let's move on. Okay.
So I do a lot. Another reason why I have that question is I do a lot.
Yeah.
My hobbies,
Right.
because we were talking, I'm a bowler.
Yeah.
I went pro a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
I also edit videos because I'm into content creation.
Mhm.
I also make music. I play guitar, sing, and I just have just a bunch of these things, and sometimes I get.
Yeah. I think it's,
Also, I'm in school, so
yeah, yeah. Hey, you're a place fitter too.
oh, and work.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's, I don't think it's out of the ordinary, I guess is what I'm saying too, right? It's, I think, I mean, how old are you?
22, turning 20.
Yeah, yeah, so, I mean, you got lots of time to figure it out, and I think, I don't know, for me, looking back, my parents are Irish immigrants, they wanted me to get a job as soon as I could. Because, and nothing against them, that's the way it was, like, I was working for the city, and like my summer job, like, doing manual labor, my mom's like, oh, why don't you just do that? I'm like, what? Like, nothing against that, but I don't really want to do that, like, I think I can do something else. And my guidance counselor said, yeah, you should probably look into the trades. I'm like, ladies, that'll be very quickly over. And I found this and I started playing football. I got a football scholarship. And that just like, all of a sudden I was doing good in school. I found kind of like the thing that I wanted to do. And then even when I graduated, I didn't know I could get a job doing this. Like my oldest brother's a police officer. My other brother's a firefighter. My mom's a nurse. And so the joke was I'd be, a mailman. Nothing wrong with mailman, but definitely not what I want to do. Right. So you have so much time. So much time. I honestly, and like Gary V said that a lot too. It's like, go dive into one of those things and for a year. And if you don't like it, then reset.
And that's what most of them do.
Yeah.
That's what.
We've got I'm sorry, we're gonna have to kid you, we've got another meeting in here next, so this is great, but we're.
Yeah, so email you all coming out.
Email.
Yeah, as Mark said, have his contact. He'll also stick back for a little bit if you got some extra questions you want to talk to him about. So let's give Mark a round of applause. Great presentation. You dropped a lot of gems, and I'm sure our students will definitely take from and use it to their career to progress. Again, appreciate you all coming through. Thanks again to Mark. You guys have a great day. And again, you have his contact, you email, got any questions. He'll also stick around a little bit to answer any other questions you guys have. So thank you guys.